Alright guys, I'm back and we want to continue with the zombie BP. Before we proceed, I would like to show you what I did change. I had to change a couple of things to make it work properly without having obvious bugs. Since we're not using simple attacks, we're using a bite animation. So let me just show you what we have right now. So when I just walk by, we have this rotation and we also have sounds. So this is what I will show you as well. And you can see, even if I'm like not facing his direction, we will. When he's grabbing us, we have blood spawned, and we can just, stuff like that. So it seems it's working quite fine. So the position is right, and we can move after this, and he is not spamming the biting animation, and we have time to move again and run. So it's working quite fine. Maybe it's not really perfect, but for now it's quite good. So you can work with that. So let's open up the BP master, and I will show you what I'm currently doing here. So on begin overlap, I only have the character ref. So I set the character after we cast, so we have a reference. From the character, we get the AC, and we set from the AC the BP zombie. So we have this variable inside our AC inventory, right? So you just create, I told you in the previous episode, you just create a new variable, and this is the BP master zombie. So you search for that. You cast it from the AC here inside the master zombie. You drag from the AC, get this variable, and the BP zombie is the self. So just drag out and you have the self. After that, I will show you the event. This is the event byte. But before I show you, this is just that we clear our data here. So we just have the character, it's not connected, and we have from the AC inventory again the same variable. You can just copy those, but they don't have a reference to self, and here they are not connected. So I'm just making sure that they are cleared. Good. So the event byte right here, it's pretty simple. It's just this event here. So what I did, I created a macro. So you have to create a macro here. So this is something you obviously don't have as far as I remember. Just create a macro here and call it can bite. And when you open that one up, I have this so-called biting cooldown here. And this is something you already have as well. Okay. So for the previous episode, I believe you have this boolean already. If not, just get the biting cooldown. Just create one inside here, and then just drag and then just get. Okay. And if it's true, it's true. If it's false, it's false. The output is the same. If it's true, so when it's false, we cannot do anything. So we need to wait until the can bite or the biting cooldown boolean is true again. And how we're gonna do that, I will show you here. But just make sure you have your attack montage. In my case, I need 2 because it's a paired montage. So this is the biting zombie. And you can see here, I get my character. So once we overlap with it, we have the character valid anyway. So I just can get the character. And from there, I get the skeleton mesh. Make sure it's the skeleton mesh. And then from there, I can just put it into the skeleton mesh component and I can play the victim montage. So this is the right victim montage according to this attacker's montage. Okay. So it's basically the same length regarding frames and stuff like that. Just make sure you create your montages, and you can just drag and drop them inside here. On completed, pretty important. On complete, no, sorry, not on completed. Above. So this happens instantly. So above completed, this one means that once we fire this event, this happens immediately. It means that the biting cooldown, that we set this one to false. So first it's true, okay, and just immediately after we play those, and this during in the same time, instantly, we put this one right after that. We put this one to false. This is just preventing us that the zombie will just infinitely or an infinite amount of times just spam the biting montage until we're dead and we cannot move. It's just preventing this. So this means then make sure you have this here, okay, on this one. Then on completed, you set the box extent. So how can you do that? You have a so-called bite collision, right? This is basically the box collision here. So when we just added the box collision, I called this one bite collision. You can just get this one, okay, and from there you can just set box extent. So what I do by default, when you go to the construction script, I told you in the previous episode, we set this variable. You can get this by just right-click. When you have this node, you get bite collision, you get it. From there, you set box extent, and then you can just right-click on this yellow dot here and just promote a variable. And then you already have a vector. This is just a vector. Or you can just click here on the plus, get a vector, and call this bite collision box. It's the same stuff. But then you can just connect that one up, and by default, if you click on this variable here, you can click on here or here, it's the same stuff. I have this default size of the box at 90, 90, and 90. Okay, so for everyone, or for every zombie, by default it's 90. So on completed, it just means that the collision is set to 0. So we just get the byte collision, and then we don't need the default value here. Okay, we don't need that, because we just set this one to 0 immediately after we finished playing our attack montage. So this is just preventing us that the zombie is again like colliding. We cannot run away. So this is what I mean. So the box collision is its extent is set to 0. Okay. After that, we just have this event chase. This is like this stuff we already set up, right? We did this already in the previous episodes. So just connect that one up. After that, I have 2 seconds delay. I think you can also do this. Let's do 0.5, 1.5 is also fine. So you have to try this out. But 1.5 seems to be enough. This just means that we need, after we completed this biting animation, so after we are done with the attack, we have additional 1 or maybe 2 seconds of delay until our biting cooldown is set to true. This means our biting cooldown here is again true, and then we can repeat this whole stuff, this whole attack, after 1.5 seconds after our initial montage is completed. Okay, so then after completion, we have 1.5 seconds in this case, or maybe 2 seconds of additional delay until the biting cooldown is set to true, and then when he checks again, we know, oh, now it's true after this delay, and then simultaneously we set the box extent back to, then this time you get the collision box, which is by default 90, 90, 90, which you can set here. So we just set it back to 90, 90, and 90. Okay, this is what we're basically doing. So when I just click on this zombie, I can see also that this instance is editable. This means, I told you before, that when you click on this icon, that we can now click on this one here in the word, and you can see that this guy has also this byte collision box. Okay, so let's just so in my opinion, 100 works fine. So I would just update this one here as well. So I think 100, we should have this for everything. Okay, good. So then compile and save, and so this is everything for the biting event. All right. Then what we need to do next? You already have these this event tick, right? You have this from the previous episode. Just make sure F rotates to zombie. I did change some things here. So I think in the previous episode you had a boolean additionally, but it's enough if we just have the character, as long as the character is valid, which means as long as we start to overlap with the box, then this is valid instantly. Okay, so this means we overlap, so the character gets valid, and then we know that we need to do this. Okay, we need to do this. This is just making sure that we snap, so we're facing the zombie, even if we're just like turning around or running by. Or passing by, try to run away, that we always, when he's grabbing us, we are coming too close or he gets too close, that we snap to this zombie. So make sure that you have built it exactly like so. Okay, and then you see there's additional stuff here, and not only the new rotation here, but also when you drag out, you can create, or you should create here, a so-called, not here. Okay, yeah, I'm just blind. I'm just not realizing what I did here the past couple of days. So of course, what I did inside the AC, right? So let me just open that one up. Getting my character, right click, and then edit an AC inventory. Okay, so you can see here on my variables, when I open up the player attributes, yeah, I just created a new rotator. Just click on the plus like you always do, and choose the rotator here. Choose the rotator and just call it update rotation and put it inside your player attributes. Okay, or in your player category here. Okay. Then from there, when we go back to the function f rotate to zombie inside our master zombie VP, then from there you can just get the update rotation, set update rotation, okay, set, and then you just connect this find look at rotation output, you just connect one, like so. This is pretty important that you have an update rotation here, because this will prevent us from, like when this stuff is done, so we snapped to the zombie, and this is not valid anymore. We will just instantly like snap back to our original position, and this looks pretty weird when we just snap back. So we need to update our own rotation. This is why we need an additional rotator. So now you think like, yeah, but it's just we set this variable, we set this rotator. So, but where do we actually set our this new rotation, which is calculated here, so the output? But where do we actually set it? And we set this one inside our enum notifiers, enum states. So I have an enum state. Okay, so just go into your enum states, and you have this one called enum state player bitten. So this is the enum state I created. If you don't know how to create an enum state, just go to blueprint class, and search, just type in state, and then you get this one on top, enum notify state. Just click on this, and then you can open it one up. And as I told you before, on override you find the notify begin and notify end. You need to click on both. Okay, so the begin is looking like this. You get the owner, it's nothing new, you already know all that stuff. So from the mesh component you get the owner, from the owner you cast to your own player BP. So in my case it's the BPRE character. From there you get the AC inventory, right? This one here, you get the AC inventory. From there, from the AC you set gets bitten. This is the variable you also have to set. I told you also in the previous episode that you create this boolean inside your AC inventory. And I have this as well in the master zombie. But as far as I know, we don't need it here anymore. We only use inside the BP master zombie blueprint, we only have this boolean called biting cooldown. So, and this is also hidden here inside our macro. So we are not using any other boolean inside this zombie BP. So this is the reason why I can just get this one and just delete this. Before I delete this, let me just find reference by name. And then I have this one called biting state. This is a macro, okay? But I'm not using this macro. So we can just open up this macro. And this is the one we had before, gets bitten, yes or no. And we can just delete this one because we're not using it here. Biting state, just delete it. And then we can just get rid of this gets bitten inside our BP master zombie. All right. So then we continue in our state, right? This is where we stopped. So not only the set gets bitten you created here in your AC inventory, right? Here, so you have to create it here in your AC inventory. You also drag from the character, not the AC inventory, but from the character. You drag out and get player controller. And just enter. This is pretty important that you get this one from the BPRE character here. Oh, sorry. So from here. Then you have this. From there, you drag out and you set controller rotate. Where is it? Where is it actually? Or is it from the character itself? Use controller rotation yaw. So you're dragging out from here. Sorry for that. And you set the use controller rotation yaw, and you also connect this one after gets bitten, and you set this one to false. It's pretty important. Okay, you set this one to false. Otherwise, you will always snap back after this state is completed. So from the controller, you drag out, and then you say disable input. Okay, you just set disable input. The controller goes into the controller. The controller doesn't go into target. Swap this. Okay, the controller goes into the player controller, and the target is the BPRE character. It's pretty important. So this is what you basically have. It's just those two booleans from your AC. This is from the AC. This is from your player character from here. Because this is like a default boolean, so you have this one already. You don't need to create this one. All right, this is your controller setting basically. But from the get player controller, you also get the disable input. Okay, so then you're set, you're fine, and then you click on the receive notify end. This is the notify end. Also here you get the owner. Also you cast the character. Then you get the AC and you get the player controller. Just copy those things. You can just copy basically all those things here. But this time, gets bitten is false, so it's vice versa. This one is false, and this one is true. So this is just exactly the opposite. Okay, so on end, it's false, and controller rotation yaw is true again. This time on end, you also need to get from the AC your get update rotation. Okay, you need to get this one too. This is where we set our control rotation. Okay, I will show you in a second. Just make sure you have this one here as well. From the player controller, you enable the input. This means you don't need to disable because we did already on begin. This time you just enable input, okay? And you can see this is not the controller, so just control and drag. This is the controller and the target is the character, okay? So just make sure, oopsie, I didn't want it to create a new variable. So just make sure that you set this one instead of disable. And everything here is connected, fine. And now you have to make sure, before we do this one here, first, from the get player controller, get is valid. Get this one with a question mark, is valid, get this one, it's pretty important. And we need to see this one is actually, yes, it's the controller. So we're checking from the controller, is the controller valid? Because maybe in some cases, thanks to the disable input, sometimes it's not, okay? It depends on the length of the animation, it depends on the length of the state and stuff like that. So sometimes you get a warning or an error like, hey, dude, this is not valid, I can't find your controller. Sometimes you get this one. So this is why you need to first get this is valid node, so the input is the controller, and you only do that if it's valid. If it's not valid, you're not going to do anything. So we are preventing errors, okay, and stuff like that. So from the is valid, you need a node called set control rotation. Set control rotation, this one. Get this node, okay, and then you get the update rotation, because this one is always updated inside this zombie BP rotate to zombie function. You can see here. We are getting this one from the AC as well, and once we snap, we fill this empty value with this output. This is why we have our new update rotation, okay? And this means that we have now here this update rotation, which has a value, and we can just set this new value, and we just set our new control rotation to this new value, and then we will prevent snapping back to our original position. Okay, so this is your this is your state, and call this one bitten. Just in case if you want to have a bitten state, okay? Because in this tutorial we are, of course, want to have our zombie grabbing us. So this is why we're using this state, and you have to do it exactly like so. Good. And then, as you can hear, I did a couple of sounds. You need a lot of sounds if you really want to fill everything, like the whole game with stuff. You realize then you will need to have a lot of sounds. So I have footsteps for myself. But you can also hear I have something like bone and flesh when he's moving, and he's also like making a noise when he's like biting us, and we are also making a noise. Okay, we have blood spawned. I will show you that. Yeah, and we also have this crunchy biting sound. Good. So everything works fine. So what you need to do, it's pretty simple stuff. Inside your montage, when you have a biting montage, right? Or you have maybe like a hit montage or something, and you also have like a montage where you get hit, for example, right? So you want to have this playing simultaneously, right? So this means this is a good example here. So you have this hit animation or biting animation for your zombie here, as I told you before, and here you have basically like the response, the proper response, what the character should play. For example, like getting hit or getting grabbed or something like this. So then it's pretty simple. You just open up both like the zombie and the player montage. So in my case, this is now the victim, the player montage. And in my case, I have 3 notifies. So you can just click here on track and then insert notify. I did this 2 times. So I only have 1 in the beginning, but now I have 2 and 3. So what I want, the whole bitten state I did show you before, right? I did show you this bitten state where we disable and enable input, and where we disable the controller rotation yaw, and also have the length of our boolean so-called gets bitten, which is inside our AC inventory. So all those things. Let's open up this blueprint again. So you can see this is what I did show you in detail already, right? So get this one. And then I put this one from begin is here, right from the beginning at frame 0, and the last frame until here. So I just drag it, so it's fitting the whole montage. Then I have a anim notify. This is not an anim state, this is an anim notify, right? So you can just here, blueprint class, and then instead of searching for state, anim notify state, you also can just type in notify, and you just get the anim notify. And then you can just on event receive. Let me just open this one up, anim notify. So I have this one called blood, where is it? I have so many right now. Blood effects. Yeah, this one. So I created this one, called it blood effects. So if you have an Niagara system, sorry, then you spawn system at location. Okay, this is this node, system at location, spawn system at location. This is the Niagara system. If you have stuff like that, you can also, if you have like the previous version, it was spawn emitter at location. All right, so this was the previous Niagara stuff. So it depends on what you have, or if you actually use something like this. Okay, so then it's the same stuff. You just get the owner, then you cast again. It's all the same stuff. In this case, we now, because we want to spawn blood, right? we need to get from our character, we need to get the skeletal mesh asset. So this one. Alright, so just delete this node. You just need the reference here. So get this skeletal mesh. From there, you can get socket location. But you don't have a socket, right? You don't have a blood socket. So what you can do, what you should do, is you go inside your RE character. I have this here, sorry. And then you go to viewport and you click on her, and then actually click on her, and then we open her up. And then you search a good place. So in my case, she gets bitten like around the neck area, right? So I just searched for the neck here. And then I just right click and then add socket. And then you have a new socket, just call it neck with capital N in my case. So capital N is for neck. And this is it. This is all you need to know. And then you can also make sure if you just maybe want to change the direction, you can also just, let me make sure that this X value here, let's do like so. Yeah, maybe like, or like so, yeah. So that maybe the x-axis is like the forward vector. As it depends on the effect, but in most cases, this is like the weapon, the x-axis is always the forward vector here, by default. So, and then you can just close this one. Let me just save, because I did rotate this socket, right? Then you can just close this, and then you can just type in neck, or just copy and paste this one. From there, the return value, you can now spawn system at location, or spawn emitter at location, okay? So you have to try both. And then you can just, in my case, I have this, where is it? Particle effects, okay? And inside my particle effects, I have a blood pack. And then I have amputated artery, brain burst, dripping, and then I can maybe go to slash, or maybe burst. And then you can see, oh, it's a Niagara. You can open that one up, and then I can open up this one here, extreme, for example. And then let it compile for a second, and then you can see the effect. Right? So this is what we will also use when we hit the zombie with a weapon. Good. And then you can just drag this one inside, like so. Okay. So I just updated this one to extreme. And at the same time, when we are here already, you can also just get from the socket location, and then just type in place sound at location. So you're saving yourself a lot of trouble, and you can just get a sound. In this case, I have when I get bitten, I have this sound of like getting bitten. Okay, and this is basically how you add sounds to your montages. So let me close this one. This is just a received notify, right? So this is not a state. It's just we receive one input, and this is called an override here. Received notify. This stuff. Okay. And then you can basically just put it to your montage. So I searched a good point, maybe like I think like, okay, maybe I get bitten here around this spot. So I just put it here, right click, add notify, and then you can just search for a notify, okay? Or maybe state, in this case, we have this gets bitten state as well. And then you do the same stuff for all the other sounds you want. So I have moan, which means, let me open that one up. This is just a sound. I just get the owner, cast, get the actor location again, and then I just cast to play sound at the location. This is why we need to cast. You can also just play a sound 2D, then you don't need to cast, but I want to have this sound on location. And then this is one, then I have a queue. So I have four different types of, like a girl is like moaning, right? So yeah, and you just need to set them here in the right spot, okay? This is pretty easy, and you do the same for the zombie. You can now give your zombie footstep anims, but of course in this case you need to go to the zombie and then you go to the walk. So in my case, open up the blend space zombie move, open that one up, and on the left hand side, search for your walk here, walk forward, just click on this binocular here, and then you see, this is the right animation, and then you can just add notifies, and you can add sounds to it, you can add everything you want, alright? So the zombie walk, open this one. It's also just a sound, and this is I created a sound cue called zombie walk, which is a mix of flesh and like a walk on concrete, I believe. So you can hear and walk on dirt. You can hear the walk on dirt, right? And at the same time you can hear like this munching, nasty flesh eating sound. So I can also just go to the sound effects and show you zombie SFX. So this one is called zombie walk. So let me just search for that as C zombie walk. Okay, so when I open this one up, you can see I have these nasty sounds here, but they're also at the same time they are mixed. So I did a mixer. So those are random. So every time and those are random, and every time the random output of this, and this will always cast one random sound. At the same time, this random sound, and they go into a so-called mixer, so they will always play together. So I can also just click here. You can change the weights, which means like how high is the chance that one particular sound gets triggered or not. But in my case, I can also just go to this one. This is the index 0. Maybe I can just decrease this to 0.8 because it's a little too loud. And the walking on dirt is more it's more obvious to hear. And then you can play the cue here. And this is just how the zombie is moving, basically. Or you just give him I also have like a moan stuff here, zombie moan in the middle of this animation. So, and this is like the same stuff here. So you always need to create an anim notify, a separate anim notify. And then when I try this one here, zombie moan. So I have several in a sound cue. Okay, good. And really important for every sound cue, right? You need to, because we are doing at location, sound play sound at location, you always need to click on, you always need to enable override attenuation, and then inner radius is 400 and fall of distance is 1200 in my case. You can also just slightly increase those values. If you think they are a little too weak, then you just increase the fall off or the inner radius at the same time. Good, and this is it. So for the zombie, and then this is how to make sure that you have some sounds and a little bit of blood coming out when he's biting you. You can see this is maybe really aggressive. And then boom. So this is just for demonstration purposes, right? So, yeah, I think it's quite funny. But yeah, you can see the snapping works. We have the right distance always. We can run. Boom. So socket is good. So the blood socket basically where we spawn. Boom. Yeah, this is perfect. And yeah, and those are just regular zombies, right? Those are just regular zombies. And we might add maybe some kind of like a stronger enemy or more versatile enemy. Maybe having like some kind of weapon, like a chainsaw, maybe like a knife, and it's trying to stab you. So we will do like one more, like a bigger enemy. And those are just like the regular enemies, right? You find in every corner. Let's put it like this. So yeah, but you get the idea. Okay, so this is just the update on how to do sounds and how to update your zombie BP, right? Let me just see if I should re-evaluate something here. No, just make sure to, so I have the BP zombie here in my AC, right? I have the gets bitten boolean in my AC, and I remove the gets bitten here in my zombie BP. And yeah, and I told you how to set this one up. So this is pretty simple stuff, just follow along. And yeah, so this is it for the AC inventory. And then you should be fine, you should be set, okay? Regarding the box collision, the byte collision, I told you already, this stuff here, right? So this, I told you in the previous episode, custom, so set this collision preset to custom. I have object type now world dynamic, and query only, no physics collision, and then set this like so. And for the other stuff, I didn't change anything, right? Oh, sorry, for the blueprint self, go to custom pawn, and then you have the settings like so. And here, collision enable, of course, query and physics. This is pretty important that you have it like so. Good, and then there's something else I need to show you for this in order to work. I think not. So I did show you the box collision. Just make sure on the events, you don't need to do it, this is just optional. I put it on the construction script, so you double click on the construction script, and then you can always set this box extend 200, but you don't really need it. You don't even need okay, in this case you need the variable. This is pretty important because we reset after our biting animation is done. We reset this one to 0 here, and then we have a delay. We chase after this, and then we have a delay of 1.5, and then we can attack again. Okay, then the biting cooldown is true again. And also make sure when you have this biting cooldown, you create this one. This is pretty important. I forgot to tell you in the beginning. Set this one to true by default. Click here and set this one to true, because when you create this biting cooldown, it's always false. Every boolean you create is by default false. And then he will never bite, because it's always false, and you're wondering, like, why is he not attacking? Set this biting cooldown to true by default. Okay, so it will only be false immediately after we play our montages, our attack stuff. Then we prevent that he is just repeating this all the time. Then we set the box collision to 0. Then we chase, And then just 1.5 seconds after that, now we can attack again. Now we set this one to true again. And then we set the box extent back to 100. But as I told you, you don't really need this variable, and you also don't need this construction script. You don't need it. Okay, this is just the construction script is just the blueprint for our default value. So when we set this one, it's already set when we begin play. So this is just our default stuff, and it's overwritten. But you don't need it. If you're sure about the distance, maybe in your case it's 100 or 90 or something like this, or maybe 60. So you have to try it out for yourself. And then you can just set it here by default, here, or of course here. When you don't have a variable, then this byte collision here, the box extent. This is the same stuff. Okay, this is the same stuff. So by default now it would be 60, 60, 60, but we are overwriting this with this set box extent and using our own vector. Okay, so this is why we're overwriting it. So it doesn't make any sense at all. So we can also just put 100 here, right? It's the same stuff. Just make sure that if you're not using the vector, like an own vector, then you can just click on this byte collision and just change it here. So you're hard coding it here basically. Good. Yeah, but it's just a little quicker to change. If you just click on this icon, then an instance is editable. We can just quickly click on this zombie and say like, hey, okay, maybe this is a little too far away, so the zombie animation doesn't look right. So I will just decrease it from 100 to 80 maybe. So you can just test it out. So it's easier to change it here. Good. So yeah, this is everything regarding our update. I know this is just like more like some kind of like update episode, but I just wanted to make sure that you have this and you can save yourself a lot of time, because now it's working properly. And yeah, and now you don't have any bugs so far, let's say. Good. Okay, and you also have sounds. Okay, so see you in the next one.